Okay, last but not least, the 2H pencil. This is difficult just because of what it is. But you should still try it. It's great to do hard things so that everything else feels way easier. So grab your 2H, let's try it again, see what different challenges come up for you now. Okay, last but not least, the 2H pencil. Now, I don't use this pencil that much, but it does have some properties that are very useful. And hopefully, very, very quickly, you'll understand why I don't use this too much and why it's useful. So, as you can see, we've done the same boxes and we're doing the same thing again. Now, very quickly, you'll start to feel like you're going to rip the paper. And you might, to be honest, because you might be trying to get it so dark that it just won't do what you want it to, and actually, it'll just rip the shit out of your work. So try and find that boundary before it's too late. And you can see already that this is incredibly light. This looks like the middle of the 2B, where it's like a medium grey. And no matter how much I try and rub it, giggity, it just won't work. So this means it's more challenging because if the darkest value is already set in the lighter end of the 2B, that means we have to spread that value for 10 squares, and that is a lot. Especially when the pencil starts super, super light. So see how you get on with this. I think this will be the most challenging one. Well, it should be the most challenging one because it's a smaller range of shades that you have available. But, saying that, you have had a couple of practices already, and you might find that you are amazing at light shading. And you might be like, China, what are you talking about? This was a piece of piss. The 8B is the one I want to avoid with every cell of my being. But hopefully that's not the case because we need 8Bs. We don't really need 2Hs that much. But to be fair, 2Hs are very, very good for refining any shading that you want to make super smooth. So, for example, if I took this row of shading and put it inside my 8B, so that top row that we did the first one, I could make my 8Bs look incredibly smooth without affecting how dark they are. And that's because you can see how light this pencil is. It's so difficult to go dark. It's really hard to go too dark with this pencil. And because the lead is incredibly hard, as we spoke about at the beginning, it could rip a tear in your paper. It means that it can get in the grain of your paper much easier. It's like rubbing, I don't know, fake tan on you with a stone and it's not quite getting everywhere. So actually, you need a fake tan mitt so it bends with the curves of your body. I'm not sure if that's the best example, but it's the only thing that came into my head. And I don't even use fake tan that much. Only when I'm feeling pale. Anyway, so you can see very, very clearly how light it is, how hard it is. And later on, we are going to practice this pencil with making those soft shades and doing the fine detail that it can do. So let me know how you got on with those three because they're all very, very different. Even though it's the same task, they all have their own challenges. The 8B is really hard to go light. The 2B, I think actually the 2B is an all-rounder. But it's still practicing the same thing and things can look more similar. And then the 2H is a bit of a bugger for going dark at all. So let me know how you got on. Hopefully you found it useful. And on our next task, we are going to look at a bit more of a shading gradient rather than blocks. We're going to see something different. Amazing. So that's week 1 done. It might seem a little bit frustrating that we're not making masterpieces from the get-go, but please trust the process. Everything I teach is all about building your confidence and building your skills. This is a fundamental lesson for building those skills. So join me next week for week 2, where we'll start to look at gradients and seeing if we can get the transition from dark to light in one smooth swoop. My name was China, and it's been a pleasure. I will see you next week.